What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with some more Blackalicious. Which is to say, I did one Blackalicious reaction a couple years ago. I did the song Deception from their album NIA, or maybe NIA, 1999. It's the only album of theirs I have, but I am very fond of it, and I was thinking of doing a hip-hop reaction. And I remembered Blackalicious, and once again, R.I.P. to Gift of Gab, their lyricist who passed away a few years ago. It was a duo. Chief XL is the producer, although some tracks I think are produced by other people. Like I think DJ Shadow produced some of their tunes, but Chief XL is the producer, Gift of Gab, lyricist, and vocalist. And yes, we're going to listen to another fantastic tune, which is Shallow Days. It's part of a refrain or part of the chorus, Shallow Days, Hollow Nights. And I think it's a very focused representation of what Blackalicious did so well, which is to say conscious hip-hop, progressive hip-hop. It's a tune that, not unlike some Del the Funky Homo Sapien tunes, where he talks about not wanting his rhymes and his music to be entirely defined by ghetto stereotypes and talking about who's the toughest and who can, shoot the most and so on. It really explores the idea of moving hip-hop beyond gangster rap and breaking out of the cycles of thought and behavior that have in some ways been imposed on the hip-hop scene and the urban communities that it grew out of. So it's framed as a dialogue between the narrator, Gift of Gab, and another guy who I'm trying to remember in the moment if he's supposed to be like a producer or if he's just like another rapper, but he's basically saying like, oh, you can't come out here and try to do things so different. You got to talk about how tough you are. You got to talk about, laying down the law in the hood if it comes to it. And if you don't do that, your sound is just bubblegum and no one's going to want to buy it anyway because that's not what people are looking for. And through meticulous and detailed explanation, the narrator explains that he wants to move hip-hop to another era, one that is not celebrating or romanticizing the forms of behavior and the societal violence that define a lot of other hip-hop. So yeah, he does it through multiple verses, and there's a cool kind of sung vocal in the chorus, which again is the Shallow Days, Hollow Nights. So yeah, I think it's not only a very admirable song in terms of, sort of turning upside down expectations about what hip-hop was. Now again, this is 99. I think these days conscious hip-hop is more mainstream, like, it's been around for longer and I think it's gotten greater respect. But there was this idea, and again, big labels in the 80s and 90s, they were looking to sign hip-hop acts that were in some ways controversial and that would, generate media buzz and sales, even if it meant, again, glorifying violent lifestyles and people being stuck in the same patterns from which they sprang. And indeed, there's a line in the track about how, a lot of these kids, by the time they're 4, they've seen worse things and more things than most military veterans. And so, yes, again, I think it's just very indicative of Blackalicious in terms of its conscious lyrics and its kind of mellow, laid-back sonic styling. So let's give it a listen. This is Blackalicious. The tune is Shallow Days, and it's from their 1999 album NIA, or again, maybe NIA. I never knew, because there's no period, so it's not written like an acronym, but in any case, Shallow Days by Blackalicious.
I'll just keep moving on, 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 moving on. I'll just keep moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on. Time and time, a brother asked why the rhyme is not laced with the gangster touch. I said simply because I don't live that way. I'm still kicking them rhymes, it's rugged and rough. But that won't sell, cause you gotta keep it real, so that we can feel where you're coming from. Because these streets is ill, so if you ain't killing niggas and rhymes, your whole sound's just bubble gum. I said I won't contribute to genocide. I'd rather try to cultivate the inside and try to evolve the frustrated ghetto mind. The devil and his army never been a friend of mine, but niggas don't wanna hear that shit, said the brother who was obviously totally misled and yelled out murder, murder, kill, murder instilled in the influential thoughts of our kids' heads. Shallow days, you never wanna let a brother be a brother fully in until the eye caught up and all them hollow nights. Can't escape 'cause everywhere that I look, people frontin' and it just ain't right. Shallow days, you never wanna let a brother be a brother fully in until the eye caught up and all them hollow nights. Can't escape 'cause everywhere that I look, people frontin' and it just ain't right. I said, don't you know the powers that be are using people as pawns, devouring we until they see us all gone and out of the scene. And as I passed the chronic, he said, look at where I be. I tried to get a job for real, but all the homies hit licks and rob and steal and keep fat pockets caught in the rut they catch round this waist in. Plus, who could you trust? I said, I'm all about protecting mine, but neglected minds be getting left behind. Why don't you change your environment? He said, this is all I know. Plus, my fam's all that I got. I can't go. I said, you gotta make it for the fam. Damn, he said, I didn't make the ghetto made the man. I said, you more than just that. Shook his hand, said, damn, we gotta find a way to break the devil's master plan. Shallow days, you never wanna let a brother be a brother fully in until the eye caught up and all them hollow nights. Can't escape 'cause everywhere that I look, people frontin' and it just ain't right. Shallow days, you never wanna let a brother be a brother fully in until the eye caught up and all them hollow nights. Can't escape 'cause everywhere that I look, people frontin' and it just ain't right. The word peace is just an expression used to say bye when it's time to jet, and them red, black, and green medallions was all just part of a trend, I guess. Hardly ever see them around brothers next no more. Instead of that, go gats, aspiring gangsters and max who at the young age of 4 be seeing more drama than war veterans instead of learning God's laws. And hip-hop is our voice, so we enlist that to express how we be feeling about this and that. But music does reflect life, and kids look up to what you portraying and mimic what you act like. It's time for a new day, an era in rap, conscious styles, making them aware of the happenings. But the ears seem more steered towards self-annihilation, so many might laugh and write this off like I'm out here just blowing wind. Maybe label it soft or unreal, something they can't feel, while they keep yelling murder, 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 kill, kill, kill. I'll just keep moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on, moving on.
Tune. It really is a tune. And yeah, again, I think it's very reflective of their identity as a duo, of Gift of Gab in particular, in terms of the lyrics on this one. And I do love the dialogue form. It, actually takes the form of a lot of like famous philosophical treatises where it's set up as a dialogue, and while the writer, the philosopher, is trying to articulate one of the positions, it's positioned as a back and forth between two voices, and in some cases you can understand the reasoning behind the foil, where again here he's saying, well look, I didn't make the ghetto made me. Like, I make music like I do, gangster rap and so on, because that's what I've known, that's what produced me, that's what I am. And the narrator is saying, yes, but if we can't ever move on from that, then we're just always going to be stuck, and we're going to be doing what these big powerful people want, because that kind of keeps us under control, and they can make money off of us and exploit us, and then in other contexts write us off as just being only that thing. And I enjoy the way, again, there's a bit of a back and forth in terms of the logic and the the justifications, and I also like the way, he's saying, well, look, all I got is my fans. I can't just like leave them behind. And he's like, no, you should move on for your fans. You should, help them come to appreciate something new, something that can change things, something that's better. So, yeah, I really do enjoy the lyrics on that one. And again, it's kind of like a mellow, jazzy hip hop tune sonically. So, shout out to Chief XL once again. Do let me know what you think, and I'm going to try to quickly move her because, yep, I feel like she might feel mischievous. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you for the next one. Peace.